Next up on the number one tee.
Well, hello, and welcome back to your virtual tea time. My name is Tori. Tara, I think it's you. I think it's when you're on the show, I stutter.
No, you gave a look. That's what I was laughing at.
Well, because sometimes you can hear the echo in your ear, like it means like we're on air. And I couldn't hear the echo, so I had to give a double take. And then you're laughing, and I'm trying to not stutter. All right. Today we have Michael Leonard here, host of the Wicked Smart Golf Podcast. Hi, Michael. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks again for having me.
Now, you are local. You play locally competitively, and you started a golf business not too long ago. And we're going to get into that.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Golf's been a big part of my life, and felt like if I could make it part of my business and career, it would just be a win-win.
That's exactly the path I'm on. Tara,
how can that path?
I know. How can we get you on this bus, Tara? And we have Tara Bateman back. Hi, Tara.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
How's your game going? Have you been playing at all?
I haven't touched a club since 4-ball.
You haven't?
No.
So, Michael, you're playing this weekend, right?
I am.
So, Michael's playing the mid-am, the men's mid-ams right before the women's.
Yeah, so we can get in all their divots. Can't wait.
Exactly. At TPC Champions Course.
Very excited for that one. Haven't been out there in like 6-7 years, so me and Abe are going out tomorrow to get a practice round in.
Fantastic. So, for those of you guys who don't know the area, TPC Scottsdale is the home of the Stadium Course where the Phoenix Open takes place, but they also have another course called the Champions Course, which I really think the locals prefer the Champions Course, don't you?
Agreed.
Yeah, it's a better course.
What do you like about it, Tara?
I think it's more challenging than the stadium course.
A little more narrow too, don't you think? Like fairways?
Yeah, for sure.
Oof.
I haven't played there in a while.
I know, right? I mean, I would prefer the wide fairways of the stadium course, but whatever. Michael, what are you looking forward to?
You know, I just wrapped a 3-day tournament, Chandler City, descended yesterday, so kind of finally found my game a little bit. So knock on wood, we'll be able to carry that heading into next week or this week. But yeah, it's just kind of nice to get in a groove. You finally can feel a little bit. It's like the beginning of the year. It's cold out. You're not playing as much, not getting as many tournament reps. So it's nice to like get back out there, feel in the swing of things, kind of like see your shots. You're like, oh, this, I know what I'm doing here. So like sometimes it feels like it takes until May or June to finally all kick in.
Exactly. And how was the Chandler City? Where was that at?
Yeah, it's at Ocotillo every year down in Chandler. And I just love it down there. I played there when I was 16. So like 20 plus years ago, it feels like. And so it's just like a cool place to me. It was like the first time I really saw Arizona. And so it's just been there. And it's just like no desert. You don't have to worry about cactus. There's a lot of water, but it's very gettable. And I just have like a really good vibe at that course. So it's kind of a good warm up heading into the 4-day mid-am. So it was a lot of fun.
There is a lot of water there. You familiar with that course too?
Oh, yeah. You used to live right by it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, across the street.
And that's semi-private or full public?
No, it's part of the Arcus. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what expectations do you carry into the mid-am? Because this is one of the bigger tournaments of the year. Sold out field for the men, actually for the women too.
Yeah, I honestly don't go into any tournament with any sort of.
How is that possible?
I mean, of course, I want to win. Like that's the goal, right? Like we wouldn't be competing if not. But to me, just the whole chapter in my book is just about just getting rid of expectations or resetting them at the bare minimum. Because I've definitely had some anger issues in the past and things like that. And a lot of it just comes from like thinking I should be better than I am. And when you really start to look at expectation management and just wanting things too much in golf and life, it just sometimes squeezes the life out of it. And you don't really have that fun that really usually yields your best golf when you're able to get in the zone and play your best. So for me, I just go in there super excited. Like I'm like a kid in a candy store when I go to a golf tournament. Honestly, I just have such an attitude of gratitude to even be there. I just accept whatever's going to happen and hope I can learn from it. And one of my coaches always said, you're just going to, either learn exactly what you need to do, or you're going to get, you're going to get educated or validated, is what he always says. So you're going to either get that validation, or you're going to get educated on what we need to be working on next week.
Okay, wait. I love that. I love your excitement. I need some of that excitement. Do you have that excitement?
You just left Pebble Beach. Come on. That is where the excitement is born.
That is true. But going into the mid-am, I do not have that. I need that excitement, though. Don't you think it would be a lot more fun if we had that excitement, Tara?
Yeah, it's just it's a good point of view, but I don't think I love golf that much to.
Then why do we do it? You are coming off a win, Tara. So you're feeling it right now. You want to keep going, keep the train going. I mean, that must motivate you, but
there's been time in between since that win. And so I think if it would have been like a week and a half or 2 weeks later, I'd have been like, yeah, let's get it. But now I'm like, last weekend I was like, yeah, I should go practice. And then drank too many beers and sat in the pool. And then this weekend I was like, yeah, I should go practice and clean the house and did some stuff, honey-do list. And
you know what, though? That's the reality of mid-ams right there. It's like, I should go practice, but I have fucking shit to do.
Exactly.
If I didn't have tournaments, it'd be hard to practice. Like, it's just,
right?
Like in the off season, it's really hard to get yourself to go out there when you're like, I don't have an event for a couple months or there's nothing really coming up. Overseed. Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah, the worst. So what are you working on right now, Michael? Like, are you just going, we know Tara likes to just kind of chip and putt right beforehand. Mm-hmm. What are you working on a couple days beforehand?
Same thing. I don't really like to make any swing changes the week leading up to the event, if possible. Hit it really well this weekend. Finally, kind of felt like I was going through some stuff, so got some confidence back. A lot of putting. That was definitely. I had a bogey-free round yesterday, but I did not make nearly as many putts as I could. I think I lost 3.5 shots on that, and I was like, God, I felt like the game was there, but the putts just were not dropping. So probably just dial in the fundamentals. Like, I really don't like to do much either. So I'll probably go. The problem is I got some new clubs getting delivered too, so I'm like, do I put them into play? Do I not? Just
Always.
And so I'm like, I probably will, knowing me, just because I'm like, if the irons were so good in the past, then why?
Exactly. Well, give them a shout out. What did you get?
I just got fit for some new PXGs, so I got a nice combo set. I'm not like brand loyal. I just try any club that works the best for me, and I had a PXG hybrid, and it was like my game changer.
Oh,
like
you can have mine.
Oh man, I love mine. Like from 225 to 235, like magic happens, and.
It's so funny that you don't like your PXG hybrids. Those were my favorite clubs from PXG.
If I need to hit a block right, I got that.
Did you ever think that maybe you got to get them refitted then?
Oh, I did.
Oh, and
I went back cranky. And we've now what is it called? Who owns PXG? Bob, yeah. I have the Bob.
You have a
setting. I have his setting, whatever his setting is. Like, so if you look at my driver shaft's upside down. It's like, I guess that's the Bob Parsons setting.
I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so let's get started. Michael, I wanted to kind of formally introduce you and see how you got started into the podcast, how, writing about golf. I saw that there was a vacation or experience or golf round that happened in Pebble that kind of changed everything. Since I just got back from Pebble, why don't you dive into what happened there?
Yeah, I had some FOMO watching your stories. That was just a great place. So it was my 29th birthday, and me and my family are really tight, and we usually always hang out around my birthday. And so we wanted to plan something special, and so it was me and my mom and dad and my aunt and uncle and my girlfriend. So 6 of us went to Pebble, and we booked it like 6 months in advance because we were first timers. We're just type A plan. So everything's got to be planned out, and which is great. I love that for the golfer. And so when I was working full time at Yelp.com doing national sales and doing that, and I kind of started getting back into golf a little bit, and I was like, we're going to Pebble Beach. Like, this is something I played on Tiger Woods growing up. Like, this is, I watched Tiger win in 2000. Like, I got the chills literally right now just thinking about it, because it's just a magical place. And so to be able to go and play there, I was like, I can't suck. Like, I don't want to go there and shoot 85. Like, I want to go out there and really give it my all. So those 6 months, I was kind of unhappy with work and just felt like there was something else I should be doing. And so I just started playing and practicing nonstop. So I'd get up like 5, go to the gym, then I'd go chip and putt for 30, 40 minutes before work. I'd go putt at my lunch break, and then I would go straight to the golf course. I'd drive like Fast and the Furious. As soon as 4 o'clock hit, I was just heading to the golf course to play 9. So I was going to the golf course like 3 times a day, and I was barely working in between there. And I was just really excited to get there. And finally, when it got there, I was like, whoa, my game got pretty good. I did this not every day, but a lot of golf for like 6 months. And so when we got there and I was able to like hit some really good shots and like, be in some of the places where I've watched the pros and played on the video games as a kid, it was just like really surreal. And it was great because it was, like I said, my family and I are really tight. So to be able to all go there together and stay at the resort, and we played Pebble one day, Spyglass one day, great caddies, just like an awesome experience. And so my grandpa wasn't able to make it. He passed away, I think probably 9 years before that. Big golfer though. And so we took a picture of him with us. And so it was just like a really cool, we have like pictures with him out there and stuff. And so it was really just like a great family event. And really, when I got back, I was able to shoot, I think, 79 at Pebble and 72 or 73 at Spyglass. And so I was like, whoa, this was like, I actually did it. Like, I can't believe I actually played really good golf. And The caddies were really cool, and it was just a fun experience. And I really like, as you can tell, I guess I still love the game as much as that, but that really like lit the fire in me because I played and practiced every day from 10 to 17, 18, and then I went to college and very unsuccessfully played there. Life got in the way a little bit and kind of lost the love of the game, but I always really loved it. And so I kind of like sparked it up. And so that to me was like a signal like, hey, I think it's time to figure out how I can get golf back in my life. Like I got to give a lot of props to my girlfriend. She was constantly telling me, you're really good. You have a lot of potential. Like, why aren't you getting out there more? So shout out to her for that. And so she would constantly be like, hey, go play with this guy, go practice, you can get out there. And so I really just like fell back in love with the game thanks to Pebble. And then when I got back, I was like, I got to get back into competitive golf because I hadn't played in like 9 years in a tournament. And so I signed up for, I guess it was the Northern in 2016 and went up. And that was like, I remember hitting my first tee shot after 9 years off of whatever, a tournament golf. And I mean, I couldn't even like breathe up there. Hit a great shot though, flubbed an iron and then made a great birdie putt. And I was like, what happened? And so all of a sudden, 7 years later, I got a golf book and I'm talking to you on a golf podcast. So it's kind of been a blur, but yeah, Pebble really started it all for me.
I love it. So can I just ask about college? So you played in college. Mm-hmm. Tara did too.
We have a similar path. It sounds like when he was saying, I was like, check.
Let me ask you, did you have a good experience playing golf in college?
In terms of my playing or just the experience of golf itself?
General experience of college golf.
Yeah, so for me, I think it was just like golf was everything in high school. Like I didn't do anything. I didn't go to parties. I barely even had friends. I was just working at the golf course, playing golf. And so then when I went to a new place, I grew up in Oregon and I wanted to go somewhere where it was warm and didn't have to worry about rain. Just got really tired of that. So I wanted to play there and I wanted to go to school where I could try and walk on. And so I had the worst college tryout anyone's ever had. I topped my first tee shot in front of the coach, in front of the team. There was water. I mean, it's truly like the worst of the worst. And so I remember talking to a sports psychologist, like, I don't know, what was that, 10, 12 years later. And I told him that story. And he goes, the fact you're still playing is like, that goes to show how mentally tough you are. And so it kind of got started on a tough foot there. And I went and I had to actually try out for the team and was able to do it somehow. The coach that I was there, he got fired. He was using the company card a little loosely.
Nice.
Didn't like him at all. And so we got a new coach, and he was actually my coach freshman year. Great guy. I redshirted, and then second year I had to try out again as a redshirt. But I had fun like with the guys and everything, but it just felt like it was a toll. Like I kind of fell out of love because you got school all of a sudden, you're meeting new people, you just have like a whole new thing. And so I definitely felt like it was fun, but I realized quickly that I was not anywhere near as good as I thought I was either.
Yeah. How about you, Tara? How was your general college golf experience?
Generally, I think it was good. It was eye-opening for me, to say the least. But it took me to places that I had never been. I've now been to 48 states. I got to travel the U.S. for free. I'm, representing Baylor. That was like the big thing. And I would never have gone to school there, and I would have stayed home. And I think my path of life would probably have been a little bit different. I did get an offer to go to ASU, but I wanted to get away and I wanted to grow. And I think what the Big 12 taught me was how to play in the wind, because it's not really ever windy here in Arizona. I learned that quickly playing in AJGA tournaments. I went and played in Delaware, and it was like torrential downpour. I'm like, do we play in this? Because we don't play in this shit in Arizona.
Yeah.
And, so like just learning how to play in different elements, travel with your teammates. My college or my high school golf coach wasn't really hands-on. College golf coach was way more hands-on. So just like learning, and then we had Swedish teammates, and they were always the best academically, but we had a really good academic team. But just learning different cultures, it was like brought to my face. It was like, bam, like it's right there. But I don't regret it. I think, we were actually laughing. I was watching the NCAA tournament last week, and I was like, I paved the way for these girls, but there's, because I'm so old. But no, like, it's definitely, amazing to see how far golf has come in just the 20 years since I've been in college. And, I know 20 years before that, it wasn't even a women's sport. And so it's pretty amazing how much these girls have now and what's available to them. And I think it's really cool. I might have a little envy, but, I wouldn't regret playing golf in college. I actually prefer if my kids play a sport in college because I think it's something that you can't take back from anybody else. Even if it's a D3 school or D2 school, it doesn't matter. I think get out there. And for me, I just wanted to play. So it didn't matter where. Like, I just wanted to make sure I had a place on the team. Mm-hmm. And, that would be my suggestion to any younger kid in high school looking to go play at college. Don't necessarily go to a big school because it's a big name. Go to a place, the best advice, like, do you want to be a big fish in a little pond or a little fish in a big pond? Mm-hmm. And I was good enough at Baylor that there was a billboard on I-35 with my picture on it, which
nice.
I had like a 77 average, like, woo!
You still got the billboard. I'm jealous.
Billboard, yeah.
And we'll need a picture of that,
I'm like,
please?
I need the NIL deal now, right? So I think, it was just, I was the big fish in a little pond. Waco was a small little town at that time. It was way before Chip and JoJo made it like what it is. Mm-hmm. And so people, not like everybody, but like I was a small celebrity in the town. Like people knew me, especially if I was out at the golf course. So it was definitely an experience that was fun, and not a lot of people can say that they had that. Just in, like in the golf world, almost everybody probably played college golf, but outside of that, people can't say it. Like I have friends that played college softball, and like we kind of just sit and talk about it because like there'll be people that will be at a party and they'll be like, yeah, I played, something in school, and like, or they have to brag about how good they are, and we're like, real athletes don't have to brag.
Yeah. Isn't there some big differences though between playing in college sports now than back then? Like, what's the deal now where you can you get sponsorships now in college? Can you actually make money? What's going on?
NIL deals.
Yeah, nobody was going to pay me in college. So let me just tell you.
Like we couldn't even get clubs. The clubs were the university clubs, or my parents had to pay for them. Like we couldn't.
You didn't even get any sort of. Was it a discount or anything?
Well, they were like Callaway sent the clubs to the university, so technically they were like the university's clubs. But like we had teams that we played against, and they had to turn their uniforms in at the end of the year. Thank God I would have not stayed at my school for 4 years if I would be like, oh, this was Sally's last year. Like that's
that's crazy.
Yeah, but yeah, we couldn't get any of that. Now I'm sure like they basically have sponsorships all over them. Look at who was a kid that did so good at the Masters. He had like Ping and Johnny O and like.
So he's getting paid to.
Well, he just turned pro.
Yeah.
But
But before that,
I'm sure he had some NIL deal.
Yeah. What does NIL stand for?
I don't know. It's the college.
That's like the board of some. Okay, let me just write it down. So maybe.
I don't know. Ask Angel Reese, who has like $1.4 million and plays basketball.
Here, why don't you look it up, Michael? When see, now I'm getting off on a tangent. I knew we were going to do this, but Rosang won yesterday. Okay, her first pro tournament. I wasn't that surprised because it seems like you're coming off the NCAAs. You've been grinding it out all spring. You're at the top of your game. Like, did it surprise you?
It's just so impressive, though.
Yeah, no, totally impressive. But it seems like, she is one of the best in the country.
Yeah, I mean, to be able to do it and on the big stage like that, I give her so much props for that.
Yeah. You also have to think about it. She had 144 weeks or 41 weeks of being the best amateur golfer in the world. It's not like it's.
Don't you feel like there's probably a ton of expectations though she probably had heading into that though, like to play well, or do you think she was just?
I think golf's just like drinking water to her. I think it's just easy. It's just like
at least right now.
Yeah, good for her.
Yeah. What's her path look like, you think? I don't even know what year she's in. I assume her final year?
No, she quit. She just turned pro.
Oh, so when you turn pro.
She was sophomore.
When you turn pro, you're officially out of school.
Well, you're out of amateur. She can go back to school, but she would have to pay for it or whatever she has with Stanford or whatever but she can't, I don't think she can be on scholarship anymore.
So she had to make a decision. Like someone came to her, I'm sure numerous people, coaches, whatever, said, you are playing at a level where you can go pro right now and start winning, start competing legitimately. And she had to make that decision. Like, okay, college golf done.
I think though, she's been at the top of the amateur ranking for 141 weeks. She won 9 out of 13 college tournaments. What more does she have to prove as an amateur? I think that's part of it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's like you said, she's been doing it for so long. She probably wants some more competition and obviously getting in the new courses, new tournaments.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think about 141 weeks is almost 3 years.
It's like Tiger status, just consistently.
Yeah.
It'll be fun to watch.
Yeah.
And I think we need something fun to watch on the ladies' side, like something to tune in. What's Rose doing this week?
Yeah.
Let's see where the LPGA is going here. Okay, so let's get into, today we're going to talk about playing scared and just all the nuances and annoying things that golf has to, that makes us play like we're scared of something. I don't know what it is, but we sometimes do. I wanted to first, though, recap one of Michael's worst rounds ever, because as I was cyber stalking you this morning, I saw that you had a whole podcast episode about recapping one of your worst rounds ever. And I thought, you know what, this is a perfect situation, perfect show to kind of recap that too. And Tara, hold tight because you're next.
Yeah, I just felt like it was one of those rounds where it was just like, when it was over, it was like, what just happened? Yeah. It was like you just could, like it was like a Southwest commercial, like want to get away. Yeah. Like I would have jumped on a plane on like the 12th, 13th hole, hands down. I've never quit a tournament, would never quit a tournament. I'd take a 95 before I quit.
Tell us where you are.
So I'm at Southern Dunes. I have it's 99% love, 1% hate, because it's like things can go south real quick there. And I've had it happen, unfortunately, a few times. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I played pretty good there. And I'm like, man, anytime you're playing good there, like pat yourself on the back, Mike. Yeah. Like, nice. Because they can make it really long. And I've played it for AGA stuff to US Open qualifiers. And so the weather is always kind of different out there. It's usually windy. It's just, there's sand everywhere, as you know, too. And so it just depends. Like, you can be hitting it good, get some bad breaks. Depends if the greens are firm and fast. And so I played absolutely terrible. And I'll go through the round. But I remember talking to my coach, mental golf coach, John Weir, and he was talking afterwards. He's like, you really should do an episode about this. And I'm like, yeah, you're 100% right, because I had a different podcast when all about being a freelance writer, and I shared a lot of the vulnerabilities, ups and downs of building your own business, stuff like that. And I definitely try and do that with the golf side of things too. And I realized that, like, you got to show the lowlights too. You can't just show the highlights. You got to talk about what it's like, because it's a roller coaster. You guys know that. I mean, you're one swing away from being like, this is the easiest game ever, or being like, why do I even sign up and like play at all these? Yeah. And so for me, it was just. It was a terrible round score-wise, but I don't really care about that. Like, I'm able to forget about that quickly. It was really just like my attitude, and I didn't feel like I was living the virtues of wicked smart golf. Yeah. And I think I might have wanted that one too much, and so I don't know if I was necessarily scared heading into it, but it just, like, it got off to a slow start. Hit a pretty good drive. I started on the back nine, and I think the year before I shot 73 in the US Open qualifier, and I just like it. It's kind of like, I never walk normally, so it's just me out there, the 12 voices in your head, and you're playing caddy, sports psychologist, nutritionist, you guys know. And so I've always liked going to Southern Dunes, because the first time I played it, I think it was like the week after I quit my job in 2017. So I was like, all right, I'm going all in. I'm going to be a pro. I'm going to try and figure this out. I shot like 84 and just played terrible, and I was just humbled. And I was like, okay, but so I'm going to keep going back to this site though. I really like it for some reason. And so each year it did get a little bit better. I had maybe one year I went backwards, but last year I shot 73. I had 3 birdies in a row. I missed like 5 putts inside 10 feet, and I was really like in it. Like, my name was near that leaderboard a little bit. So I was like, okay. So shot 73. I had a lot of confidence from it. I think 69 got in, and I definitely was there. So it was like, okay, let's do it again this year. And the golf gods just did not agree with it, I guess. And so started off bogey. Had a really good 2-putt, and then I went, I think, bogey, and then I just made like one of those stupid, like, I laid up on I think it's the 13th hole, really long par 5. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those where it's like, you're in a bad spot off the tee, just, you got to lay up, give yourself a good third in. I laid it up in the worst possible place. It's like, I left myself a 65-yard bunker shot. Yeah. Just how you play that shot. Mm-hmm. I've read Tiger's book. I've watched every YouTube video. I don't know how to play that one. Yeah. Skull it over the green. I think I make bogey on that. Bogey and par 5, just always sucks. So now I'm like I think I'm 3 over after 4, but I'm just the eternal optimist. So I'm still like, we're going to make some magic here. Like, I'm going into just deep Tony Robbins self-talk. Like, we got this by the, back nine. We're going to be even. We're going to be able to get it to 2. I mean, I'm in it. Then on the next hole, I drive it in the fair. So it's a 295-yard uphill hole for us, and I hit just an absolute laser. But the green's like 10 yards wide. And so I hit it a little right, and it goes up in the fairway bunker, but a perfect drive. I was like, okay, up and down, maybe even chip this thing in, eagle out of the sand. Sand game didn't show up that day, and I hit this second shot, and it was I just flopped it like 5 feet, and it came right back to me. And then I have to hit it again, and I was still way too mad. And then I hit that one out, like just out, like almost had to hit a third bunker shot. And I might have tossed the club a little bit. And then I went on to, I think, make bogey there and then another one. And it got to the point where I was making more bogeys and pars. I'm like, okay, this is like, now it's like, just like, we need to really like pump the brakes here.
Stop the bleeding.
Yeah, stop the bleeding. I could not do it. I was every trick in the book, man. I mean, it was just one of those days where it just did not seem to happen. The wind kind of kicked up on the back nine too, just a little insult to injury. And so it was weird though, like, usually one part of your game's there, you either driving it or irons. Nothing was there that day. And I felt good. I slept good. There was no excuse. Yeah. And that is just the epitome of golf. And so I was like, I have to do an episode about this because I did all the prep work. I felt good. I had my decade golf game plan, yardage book. I mean, I was going to the U.S. Open sectionals. I shouldn't even be talking to you guys right now. I should be in Columbus.
You should be harder to get in this room.
Yes, correct. But I am not at a site right now for sectionals. So it was a great learning moment though, because I just, it's one of those things where you just have to, like, no matter how good you get, there's a bad round in there sometimes, and you got to figure out what to do. And I learned so much from it. I actually took like 3 days off where I did like soul searching. I was like, man, what happened? Because like it was a little bit technique, but it was really just, for me, like, I just wasn't the same. I don't know if, like I said, maybe I wanted it too much, or I was trying to compare it to last year, or whatever it was. I think I always, you think you should be better every year, right? Working in the golf industry or being a golf writer, I maybe put too much expectations, but I was like, I have to do this episode, and people loved it. Like, I got a lot of good response. People were like, oh, it's good to hear, It's like, you just can't always share, oh yeah, I did good here, or shot this round bogey free. And so it was just one of those where I felt like I had to share it as much as possible. And really for me, it was kind of where I turned, like I said, I've had some anger issues in the past outside of golf, and sometimes it creeps into the golf game. And so I was like, really just go back to chapter 1, attitude of gratitude. Be excited to be out there. And I read a great book. It's called The Tournament Golfer's Playbook by Mike Booker. I just had him on my podcast, and just a great guy. He got into the Texas Golf Hall of Fame, just super successful amateur. And he wrote a great book, and he's talking about how he finished a round, I think it was in college. He missed like a 3 or 4 foot putt to win the tournament, and he was so mad. And I've, had those rounds where you like bogey or do something stupid on 18. You have nothing to make up for it. Mm-hmm. And he said that he finished the round, and he was so angry. And I was like, oh, I can understand this, like way too well. You're going to the scorer table, you're still hot. And he said he saw a guy, it was like a kid about his age, but he had like permanent crutches. Like he had like a clear disability. And he was like, that was that point for me where I was like, there's so much more to it. And I read that literally the day after, and I didn't have an instance like that, but it just got to the point where I was like, you got to just be more like excited, more grateful. Like there's so many people that would pay to have that horrible round you had to take off on a Tuesday and go play Southern Dunes for a U.S. Open qualifier. Yeah. It's like the most first world problems. And so you got to consistently put yourself in that perspective, and you got to learn from your bad rounds. I learned a lot though. Like I really looked at my stats. I looked at my attitude, my pre-shot routine. Like I learned a ton. And I think a lot of people, when they have those bad rounds, they just try and bury it. You don't want to ever remember it. And sometimes you do need to bury them. Don't get me wrong. There's some that's just like on to the next one, especially if you got to play the next day. Yeah. But I didn't have anything coming up for a few weeks. And so for me, I was like, all right, we got to really analyze like what's going on here. And so, you can create a plan and hopefully go from there.
I love that. And I do like Southern Dunes too.
Do you have any sad stories there like me? Or?
No, all good stories at Southern
good.
Dunes, but I've heard the horror stories that could come up. And we did not have windy days too. I remember last year bringing up the windy conditions that you brought up earlier, Tara. The Mid-Am was at Southern Dunes for the men and women actually, and the wind picked up. Actually, maybe it was a little windy, but I remember some of the guy players telling me like only a small fraction of the players in this tournament can play in wind. Because, we don't get wind here. But for some reason, it could really kick up at Southern Dunes. Any tips, Tara, on how to hit in the wind?
You're the wind guru. Help us out.
Play it back. Hit it hard.
Play it back.
Play it back. Like punch shots, basically.
And still the same yardage. You keep yardages the same. So like,
I take like 5 to 8 yards off usually.
Oh, really?
Well, like by punches, yeah. But then you count the wind. You got to like, is that a 10 miles an hour? Is that 15? Is it 20? Because it's like for every mile an hour, like it'd be like every mile an hour is 1 yard is kind of how your assumption is.
Oh, I never heard that.
Do you try and play the wind, or like if it's going right to left, do you try and ride it, or you try and fight it, or just play your own shot?
On the video game this weekend, I was playing the wind.
Feel good about it?
Yeah, I felt good about that. So I did practice mentally. I did play Pebble this weekend. Y2K. So
No.
Anyways, it depends. I usually try not to. I'll try to hit a little bit of a draw for left to right, just because like thinking of bad shots. I haven't done it. Well, I take that back. I did. But my bad shot when I was growing up was a block to the right. And it wasn't just like a small block. It was like 2 neighborhoods to the right. So, or like a big old slice. And so every once in a while that left to right wind, I'm like, oh, is that shot going to come back? How buried have I done that?
Michael, what is it you think it is about those rounds that you're in a dark place where, I mean, yes, as thinking of the gratitude is and keeping perspective is definitely there. But why do you think in golf we easily go to this place where we think we're horrible people?
Yeah.
You know,
just that like personalization.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, why do you think that is? And do you think it's in every sport, or do you think golf is unique?
I feel like golf is just wildly individual for the most part. So and for like, you know, me and you being in the podcasting and the writing and I don't know, I have high expectations for what I want in life, and golf's part of that, I guess. And so that's easy to do. But I had a coach one time tell me, you are not your score. That's good or bad rounds. He's like, the problem is everyone just, you know, berates themselves after bad rounds, and then they get so excited and celebrate the good rounds. He's like, but you got to figure out a way how to separate the two, which is easier said than done. But yeah, I think for me, it's just so hard because you can put in all the work. You can do all the right things, like Rory for the Masters this year. You know, he had Dr. Bob Rotella fly in. He was doing all the things. He was hitting it. I mean, Rory should how is he not top 5 every time and then even make the cut, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like you can control, you can do all the things, get all the sleep, your whoop's good, you're recovered, you got all the coaches. And then golf happens. Yeah. And so it's just like one of those things where I think it's just frustrating because golfers are perfectionists. Athletes obviously just have high standards. And so then all of a sudden you can do everything and then you show up to the tournament and then...
Bye-bye.
Yep, B player, C player comes out.
Tara, tell us about one of your worst rounds ever. Or maybe the worst one ever.
I think I've talked about this one a little bit on your podcast, but my worst round where I had zero control of anything was... in the U.S. Women's Open at Pumpkin Ridge. So I shot mid-70s the first day. I did early. I was early late, so had a lot of time in between that second round and that first round. And get to the course, have some lunch. And I psych myself out. I still do it to this day. I like look at the field and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not that good. Or I don't know if I can compete. Like I have a lot of negative self-talk where like I can turn where I can like pump myself out. For those of you guys
who can't see us, it is on YouTube, but Michael just handed her the wicked smart golf.
But yeah, so I get to the golf course and it started, I was in the bunker on the back of the driving range, just hitting, like trying to hit bunker shots. And there was this volunteer and he kept like walking right in front of the flag to like clear the balls. And I'm like, I'm going to hit him. And my caddy's like, no, you're not. Just keep hitting it. And then all of a sudden I was like, I just bladed one. And I'm like, incoming, like it's coming at you. So I should have known from then. And I was looking at the leaderboard and I was like probably 12 or 13 shots from the leader. And I was thinking it's 10 shots, the 10 shots or the top 60 or whatever. It's one or the other. But I was just like, you need to be within 10 shots. You need to be within 10 shots. And I was outside that window and I get off first, second, third hole. I think I made par. I birdied one of the holes. And then I got to the fourth hole and it's a par. It was a par 3 over water. It's about like 175 yards and the pin was tucked right in the water. It's like a kidney bean kind of green. And I was like, don't go for the pin. And of course, my shot, I looked up and it's like right at the pin. And I was like, I didn't have enough to carry. I was just trying to hit it to the middle of the green. And so I proceeded to put one in the pond. And then I went up to the drop area because the drop area was like 75 yards. And I was like, that's a much easier shot than 175. So I go up to the drop area. And unfortunately, the drop area was still in the rough. Like they didn't mow the drop area.
That's rude.
Oh, it was rude. So I drop it. And of course, at this time, you have to, you got the high drop, at the knees, and I drop it, and I can't even barely see my ball, and I'm like, oh, this isn't good, and I'm like, how do I just get it on the green? And I didn't get that one on the green, dumped it in the pond again. So then I get the next one, I think finally on the front edge and 3-putt for whatever that is, 7, 8, 9, I don't know. And I remember walking to the next hole, and my golf coach was like, you're still in this. And I was like, you're full of shit.
Yeah. Why don't you fuck off?
Yeah. And I made some bogeys. I finally calmed down. I made a par. And they're like, you're in the top 60 or whatever it was. And I'm like, there's no fucking way after that disaster of a few holes that I'm still in the top 60. And I was like, whatever. So then I proceed to 3-putt, then I 5-putted, and then that was 9. I 5-putted 9 from like 4 feet. And, I looked at the gallery and my whole family was gone. And I was like, where the fuck is everybody? And they all show up with beers in their hand on 10. And I was like, got it. So I proceeded to I think at one point I dumped like 4 more balls and hazards along the way in. I just limped in, and I actually looked at my caddy. I was like, how many more balls do we have? Because I think we have like 4 more holes to play. I shot like 94, 96 or something. And I was like, wow, haven't shot that in a while. That's right back to reality.
That's probably on the internet somewhere,
Oh,
too.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
That one will stick there forever.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah. But, I went and took a shot at tequila, laughed it off, went and saw the Oregon coast, just forgot about golf. And you know what? My thought, it kind of goes back to like what you were saying is, I was playing on the Futures Tour at the time, and I had to think about how many girls that were trying to be a professional or even on the LPGA didn't even make it to there that week, and I did. It's something that I can say that I've done. I wasn't a very good professional golfer, but I can say I played in the U.S. Women's Open. So absolutely.
And did you take anything from that round as far as learning is concerned, or was that one of the ones like we're gonna just?
I don't even remember. I just kind of was like, whatever. But I would love to go play that course again. I've played the other Pumpkin Ridge. It was a private side. I played the public one a few times, and I'm like, I think I could do it again.
Get some redemption out there. I feel like a YouTube comeback video there.
Right?
Now, when you're ever playing other state tournaments or, even like the member guest, and you find yourself getting a little nervous, do you ever say to yourself, I was in the fucking women's US
No,
Open?
I don't, but I still get nervous.
You need to.
I know, I would. I'd be like, why is my heart beating fast right now?
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I don't, but I should maybe. But yeah, I still get nervous. But see, when I played the club championship last year, that was the first like real competitive tournament I had played in probably 15 years. And I was nervous the first couple holes. It helped that I made like a sliding to the right 30-footer on the second hole to go one up. I was like, all right, nerves are gone. We got this.
We can hold now.
Yeah.
So, Michael, what's your thoughts then on bouncing back from a tough hole?
Yeah, I think you gotta just leave it in the past. I think one of the biggest mistakes most people make is dwelling on the past or getting to the future. Like when you're playing good, you're like, oh, if I just par out, I'm gonna have my best round ever. And so I talk about this a lot, just wearing a rubber band and just snapping yourself back to reality. So like
Thank you, Tiger.
Yeah. So when you're just like having that bad day, you just gotta just that going back to the past, worrying about that last shot you hit, just be like, you're not there. You need everything to hit a good golf shot. You need to be 100% present. So that's like the biggest thing for me is constantly just being like, it's over. I'll analyze it after the round. I always recap my rounds, do my stats, log some notes. But that's the time where it's like, then it's really time to focus. So for me, bouncing back, I think Jack Nicklaus talked about this a lot too, is like, you got to just play more conservative sometimes. I think a lot of times people, especially if you have like a nasty 3-putt and then you go to the next tee and maybe it's like a drivable par 4, or maybe you can like kind of a risk reward hole. Then you got the emotions in it and you're not thinking clearly. And so like for me, I have a game plan for every shot I'm going to hit. Obviously the wind might change a little bit, but pretty much know what I'm going to do heading into it. So it's really important for me to stick to that plan no matter what just happened on that last hole. And I look back to some of my earlier rounds when I would have that double and then I'd go on and probably have another bogey or a double because I'd try and play on emotion and just play way too aggressive. So I just try and have a plan heading into it and sometimes just play more conservative because you just need like one or two good swings to kind of get back to it. And I think that's even more important if you have like a string of, maybe a couple bogeys or just some sloppy shots. Like just try and get yourself back in there. You don't need to make more birdies right out of the gates. Like just get back on that par train, get back to where you're consistently feeling good and not having that just like stressed out emotional shots where you're just trying to do too much and you're not going to be able to do that consistently. Yeah,
absolutely. Do you guys have a spot where you give up?
Never.
How about you, Tara? We are Debbie Downers over here.
I wouldn't say I give up. I just don't give a shit. Like
that's probably when you play good, though, right?
Yeah, I'm just like, whatever. Here we go. Like, how many more holes do we have? But like I lost the love for the game, and I didn't hardly even picked up a club for 8 years. And so coming back out now in the last year and a half, I would say I'm less like that. I'd say I'm a little bit more like that, or I just start laughing at myself. I think I played with you that one day at Papago, and I was like, I think I'm in the 90s today. Like the front nine, I think I literally shot like 44. So I was like, here we go. But I think we just kind of laughed, and it's just like, it just becomes funny to me. I'm just like,
yeah, you got to laugh at it too. Totally.
Seriously, here we go. But I don't know. I haven't in a tournament. It'll be interesting because a 3-dayer, haven't played in a 3-dayer stroke play. Yeah. And so I think that's going to be, where do I guess what are the expectations and where am I going to I have a feeling because it's like you want to play to win, and like when do you know you're not in it anymore, right? But then like when you're playing professionally, no, everything still counts because I need that paycheck. We always laugh like, oh, they just dropped 50s, or whatever, hundreds. There's $100,000 because he missed that 1 footer or whatever. Yeah. But so amateur golf, you're playing for pride. You're not playing for that money. And so, am I playing for another sleeve of Pro V1s in the pro shop or? I don't know.
But after, you won the 4-ball. Mm-hmm. Okay. So you're in player of the year contention already. No, you are, because you are signed up for a lot of tournaments too for the rest of the year. So will it make a difference, let's say, for playing for 3rd rather than 5th because it's more points? Would that drive you?
I guess I never even thought about that. I think for me, I just want to put 3 solid rounds together and not snap pick it on the first hole. So
last year at the Mid-Am qualifier, she might have had little hookies off the first tee twice.
Yep. It happens.
Maribel.
It happens.
How is your relationship with USGA qualifiers?
Yeah, other than the recapping the worst round.
But you're still probably doing mid-am qualifiers, right? Or even
I do everything. Yeah. I mean, I know I'm twice the age of most of the U.S. amateurs out there. I love it. To me, it's all content gold too, obviously for the brand. But I mean, to get paired sometimes with a 16-year-old and then the next week you're paired with a 60-year-old, I just love that about golf. You can go out there and tee it up. And so, I do all the USGA. I don't think I did the 4-ball last year, but I do the U.S. Amateur next month and then the Mid-Am. And I got really close last year in the Mid-Am too. So I like it because it's one of those few events where you don't, you can't have a caddy. I guess I just never choose to, or nobody cares about me enough to come out when it's 110 degrees and ride in a cart. Exactly. But I just like that it's kind of a solo thing out there and you know what you got to do. And so one thing I learned last year in the USGA is that I never looked at the leaderboard, and I was kind of just lingering around even 1 under. I figured it'd be 4 or 5, and I got to the last hole, or I was at the 9th hole at Alta Mesa, and I wish I would have looked before, because I would have tried to take a little more aggressive play, because I think if I would have made eagle, I would have actually had, or I think it was eagle, I would have had to got in. I think birdie would have done a playoff, but it's one of those things where I tried to play a little too conservatively, because I don't like to be like that leaderboard lurker who's just every hole looking at it. Ooh. And I mean, it works for some people, but for me, I go into the future too much, and I can already see myself being calling everybody, be I'm going, and so it's
on the 17th hole.
Yeah,
I got this.
I got it. And so I got to like really tame myself and be like, all right, back to present here. And so that's what I love those qualifiers though.
Yeah.
I think they're tons of fun. I want to try and get out of state for some of them though, because just the weather obviously, and just trying a different place. I know a few friends that go out of, and they kind of make a trip out of it. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. So you're not a Golf Genius watcher.
Strategically, like this week at the I won't even look the first day. I just doesn't even matter. I'll just play my game. Second day, if I'm like near the cut, I might look a little bit, but honestly, no, not much. Unless I'm just kind of coming down the stretch, then I'll look a little bit. But like I said, I like to have my game plan pretty much mapped out, and I just do the decade stuff and kind of stick with that system, because a lot of times playing overly aggressive just leads to making that stupid mistake, and then all of a sudden you're like, damn, if I didn't make bogey, or if I just made par. And so sometimes playing too aggressively has bitten me in the past.
Maybe I'll try that tactic. You don't like to look at the scoreboard.
I like to.
You do?
Yeah. So for the mid-am, I thought I was out of it after 9, because I made 2 doubles, or I made a triple and a double for the qualifier.
Yeah.
I thought I was out of it, and my dad's like, "You're in this," and I'm like, "No, I'm not," and he's like, "No, you're in it," and so I shot even on the back and breezed through the qualifier. But it's hard because I was playing with Stephanie, and she was lighting it up. And so I'm like, who else is lighting it up, right?
Yeah,
like sometimes that's hard. And but then at the mid-am in Florida, I knew I was right around that top 64. And I got to my 12th hole. It was number 3, and I blocked it right into the water as a par 3. And I almost chipped it in for par, and I made bogey, and I looked at my dad and I was like, where am I? And then I think I shot 1 under from there in, I finished, I think, I don't know what my coin says. I think it says 44. So I think I tied for 44th or something like that. So I needed that motivation on the last few holes just to be like, what do I need to do? And then that was my goal, like par's where you're at. And I knew I had like a par 5 and a pretty short par 4 coming up. So I was like, do I be aggressive, or do I just, what do I do here? So, because I knew there was a long par 3, and so I needed that for like, just keep going.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
So do you change your strategy for like clubs off the tee, or firing at pins more, or do you feel like that just kind of gives you that little
I think it just gave me a little bit more confidence. And I wasn't so mad if like I had a 40-footer for birdie over a 6-footer for birdie. It didn't matter to me at that point. Like
Gotcha.
Pars were my friend. And so I was just like, just get it on the green, and then I know you can 2-putt from here. So.
Okay. So talking about being scared on the golf course, for me, my scariest club, and maybe I should stop saying this, is my driver. So everything goes with my driver as far as confidence. Okay. And especially going into the Champions course, tight, desert, maybe even leave the driver in the car this week. Who knows? But you had an article about what question do you ask yourself after a bad drive?
I'm trying to think. I think for me, like when it comes to driver, I just always try and play the same shot. Like I just always play a cut.
So you have a stock
I have
shot.
A stock shot. Like
what
I
is
said,
it?
Just a baby fade. I just try and play that all day, every day. There was a hole this last weekend at Chandler City, and you had to hit a hook, and I just pulled out 3-wood. Like I was no way. I do not even want to attempt to, because if I try and change that with the driver, then I'm gonna like move it back in my stance. I might get steep, hit a pop up. I might snipe hook one into that tree, and then there was. So for me, like I don't know. I just adhere to the decade golf stuff because once I really started just playing one shot shape off the tee, it just makes picking targets so much easier, and it just makes it so much more confidence, because I'm not thinking, okay, because the draw is not natural for me. So I'm like, do I change? Do I got to time this a little bit different? Do I got to flip my hands? You can't change ball position with driver. So it's like you get thinking too much. And I play my best when I have 0 swing thoughts. Maybe one if I'm really like struggling. I have one kind of like setup thing, but I don't like to think about any specific driver thought, just because then I just feel like I'm not in the zone.
So what do you think, like, again, so it's driver for me, maybe someone's struggling with chipping. They're blading it, chunking it, or maybe they are terrible out of the bunker. They're just scared to just get out of the bunker. Bunkers aren't your easiest. Okay.
I've had some room to improve.
So how do we go into a round, whether it's tournament round or just a regular round, with the best mental edge with these areas of our golf game that we struggle with the most?
Yeah, I think that you really, obviously, confidence comes from competence. You have to put in the work. You can have the best mental game in the world, but if your physical skills aren't there, like it's going to be really hard to overcome that. But to me, I think having that good pre-shot routine is so key, because that's really the time when you can control your thinking. And like, too many people just go into shots and they're thinking, don't hit it bad, don't hit it in the water, don't leave it in the trap. And so I have a whole chapter in the book about stop talking about don't. The mind does not understand negative. So when you're saying don't do this, don't do that, you're more likely to do that because it's hearing hit it in the water, leave it here. And so plus negativity, once it gets in your mind, it kind of just seeps. And so that's why I'm all about focusing on what you want. And so getting really clear in your routine for that. I feel like a lot of times if I walk into a bunker and it's a shot that I've struggled with, and if I don't have a good routine, then that's when that negative self-talk comes out. I'll be like, don't do that what you did last week, or don't leave this in the bunker. What are these people going to think about me? Like, if I leave it, and you get into all this negative just spiral of downhill. And so to me, it's going into it and having the right objectives in your pre-shot routine and really mapping it out, because it's like the everyday golfer, when they're out there, they don't have any routine. And then a lot of people are like, I'm really good on the range, but I'm terrible on the course. Like, what's going on? I'm like, well, your motion isn't going to break down from that 100-yard walk from the driving range to the first tee. It's something mental. And a lot of times they don't have any consistent routine. Like, routines are huge in basketball and football and a lot of other sports. But if you don't have a routine, it's really hard to get your mind on board, because it's not only just for the physical things you want to be thinking about or rehearsal swings, but it's like, what can we control in that routine to give us the most confidence when we're standing over the ball? So for me, yes, you have to put in the work in that area that's struggling. Maybe it's your driver, your chipping, your putting, whatever it is. But yeah, we got to have that routine, so that way you're able to kind of, I like to think of it's like a bridge to the golf course. So it's like, if you have that routine, you're able to control those thoughts, you're able to manage those. Because like for me, I think a lot of people are like, don't hit it in the water, don't hit left. That's okay to talk about in your routine, but then you want to focus on where you want to go. Like, I want to focus on the right side of the fairway. I want to hit on the left side of the green, left of this pin. So it's okay to do it, because you don't want to be like, don't look left. There's, like a talking stick. Like, there's out of bounds everywhere. It's like, don't look left, don't look left. Anytime you think don't look left, like, don't look at the pink elephant. You're like looking for the right. So it's like, it's okay to call it out, but I think it's important to then focus on what we want. And then your mind wants to help you achieve your golf shots, your goals in life, but you have to focus on what you want more than what you don't want.
Did your routine break down at Southern Dunes?
I think that was more of a technique, and the sand was I'm never blaming the course ever, but it was consistent. It was like I would get like hard pan. So that's like a shot. I don't know. I can't find a place to practice that. Like, I'm going to build like a sand pit, like out of my like apartment complex.
Right off the driveway.
They got the sand volleyball court. So I'm going to be out there just working on my game. So for me, I think that was more of a technique thing. And I do feel like the routine was a little, because then after I hit a few bad shots, then it was started to get in and seep in a little bit too.
Yeah. How's your pre-shot routine, Tara?
Yeah. Don't really have one.
Well, do you think you have one? It's just not.
I have one on the
intentional?
putting green. I know that.
Yeah.
There's definitely one I go through on the putting green. Regular shots. I would say overall I have one. I think it changes a little bit, but overall I have the same one.
So you shot a 68. Right. 67 at Sterling Grove. Okay. 2 weeks ago.
How was that course? I've heard.
I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah. It
I don't know. Well, the greens are
they firm? I've heard.
I don't like. No. It's a typical Jack Nicklaus where it's undulated, and some are super wide, big. Some are like postage stamps. Like, it was just kind of. I think they would get. I obviously like the pin positions. That the second day, the first day, I didn't like the pin positions. I thought that they were. It was tough, so I don't know. But
so you shot a 67 though that second day. What's the grade you give to your game that day?
I would probably have given it like a A- B.
Wow, an A-.
I missed a 1-footer.
Okay, so that takes a 67 out of.
Did you see the next hole? I blocked it into the desert.
Listen, after you missed that 6-footer, I might have been fist pumping in the corner. I'm like, there's a freebie.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, it was good, but it could have been better. But when you were talking earlier, Michael, I was thinking my college golf coach always said, and it was I guess it's a quote from Ben Hogan, that he says you only hit 2 pure golf shots an entire round. Totally. And it's something that we as golfers don't always think about, right?
Golf's a game of misses.
Yeah,
100%.
Exactly. So, yeah, I would say like I would give it probably an A-.
Yeah. And the reason I bring it up is we were talking about our worst rounds ever, but I was thinking that was a really good round for you. I mean, you played beautifully. Were you thinking about anything, or was it just like...
I think when I birdied the first hole, I was like, oh, game on, right? Like, it's always... And it's funny because sometimes it's like early ripe, early rotten.
That's the worst when you start out hot and then all of a sudden it fizzles.
Yeah. But I knew there's a lot of short holes on that golf course, and there was a couple drivable holes for us. And so I was like, okay, we can. And that's why Kim had already made the birdie, but I was like, I want to putt because I want to see. I've had a lot of rounds. It's just terrible to say, but a lot of rounds kind of missing those short putts early. I kind of gets in between my head, and then like the rest of the day, like making that first like 3 or 4 footer of the day, it's like, yeah, I got. And then when it's on the first hole, it's like, here we go, right?
Yeah.
Like
totally.
And so I just kind of was like, I honestly didn't think we would catch you, and then it started to be like, oh shit,
Yeah.
we got it. And then Kim's like, I wanted to slap her, but at 9, she's like, at Leanne, she's like, we're tied. And I was like,
I whispered.
don't worry. I'll make sure we're not tied anymore. I'll miss a 1 footer on the next hole.
I whispered to Corey after 9 holes because we were up by 5, Michael, going into the last day. And I whispered to Corey after 9, I go, okay, game on. It's head to head now.
Yeah, no, I don't think you guys lost it. I just want to say that. I think Kim and I played very well that day.
You did.
So,
and so I just wanted to talk about the opposite of like what
no,
were
I
you
appreciate
feeling?
it. Yeah. I think it was just it became easy, and it was just like, oh, there's another birdie.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another birdie.
Just one of those.
And you're only giving yourself a B for that one?
Yeah.
I think she's revised in A-.
I did A-.
I like A-.
Yeah, let's
A-. We'll
make
go A-.
ourselves.
Isn't it funny how the mind, though, does that? You
Yeah.
played lights out 67, but we're still focused on that 1 footer. I'm sure you made a bunch of great putts and did all that, but I had the same thing yesterday, too.
There was like 3 balls in the desert, right? Like I can tell you like all the bad shots. I don't know if I remember all the good shots.
Well, and there's probably some fear behind saying A+, because then what? Then, oh shit, that's my best round ever. Or, like that's one of the best rounds I've played in a while. Now I got to live up to it.
Yeah, I shot 67 the Friday before. So I was like, I knew the game was there. But I did that with my boss and like 35 beers in me. So I was like, I don't know.
35 beers was the answer.
Yeah.
Oh, Michael, thank you for being on today.
Of
I
course.
really appreciate it. The time flew.
Yeah.
First of all, we'll have to have you back on. What's your number one piece of advice for someone that's just starting out? Maybe hasn't played for more than 2 years. Loves the game. They clearly have the golf bug because you always have the golf bug in the beginning. They want to get better. What's your number one piece of advice for them?
It's just short game at the beginning. I mean, it's just it's the lowest hanging fruit. Just don't make golf harder. And like too many people are just on the range, just banging the jumbo bucket, thinking that's the key to success, hitting that 7-iron over and over
Always
again.
the jumbo bucket.
It's always, they're like $20 now too. You're going to save money. You're actually going to get better. I think for me, it's just chipping and putting. You just see, I mean, even, what was that, John Rahm had a 4-putt? Like these guys barely 3-putt, let alone have a 4-putt. It's like, that's the easiest thing because then you start seeing your scores drop and then it gets more addicting. You're like, oh man, this is even better. And it's just frustrating when you're missing those short putts. I missed one yesterday. I'm like, why? But it's like, so just the little things, I think too many golfers just get way too worked up in the swing. And there's just so many things you can do outside of it. Really monitor your mental game, monitor your self-talk, monitor your body language, just all the things you can control during the round. I think that you're going to play better, but you're also going to have more fun too.
Absolutely. Tell the listeners where they can find you.
Yeah, everything is wickedsmartgolf.com. All the handles, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube at Wicked Smart Golf. And the book is Wicked Smart Golf, Play Better Golf and Shoot Lower Scores Without Changing Your Swing on Amazon.
That's the best. And everything is in the show notes too. Tara, I will see you on the first tee. I wonder who's going to be 1A. I don't think it's going to be us. I looked at the field.
Is it shotgun every day?
No, actually, it's probably tee times.
Okay. Yeah, I need to know.
We haven't gotten our thing. Oh, maybe we'll be paired together.
You guys am I paired together? Oh, love it.
That will be fun. All right, until next time. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Be sure to check out the show notes for all the details on today's show. If you haven't already, please give a 5-star written review on your favorite podcast platform, or even screenshot this episode and send it to your golf buddies. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you on the first tee in a couple days.